Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. Today, we're chatting with Kimberly House, elementary and middle school tech coach at Bavarian International School in Munich, Germany. Kimberly has been at BIS for 25 years and has a unique perspective on the changes in coaching culture based on her extensive experience in one school community. This Spotlight episode highlights the many ways that Kimberly works with all teachers to build a coaching culture. This episode is a must-watch for anyone who works with teachers who have been in the same school setting for many years. If you enjoy any part of this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more conversations like this, please subscribe to our channel and click the notifications bell to find out every time we release a new episode. Remember, you can also listen to the full Coach Better episode wherever you get your podcasts. We are passionate about the impact coaching can have on student learning, school culture, and teacher professional growth, and we want to help you coach better. We've got some great opportunities for more learning after today's conversation, so stick around all the way to the end. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better. Today, Clint and I are here with Kim House, the elementary school and partial middle school tech coach at Bavarian International School in Munich. Kim, can you tell us a little bit about your education experience?
Absolutely. Hi. So I have been at this school for a very long time. I've seen it go through all kinds of changes in my 25 years here. When I first started, I taught kindergarten, and so I'm a primary school teacher. I've taught almost every grade level as a primary school teacher. And then when an opportunity came to move into technology, which at that point was called ICT, which I hate, but that's what it was. So I took that. And from there on, I haven't looked back, but I've been really thankful for the primary school teaching background that I had. So I actually had my feet on the ground in a primary school classroom for many years, which brings a lot and it helps inform what I do.
So tell us about that experience, about how you started getting teachers engaged and getting them to understand this culture of coaching that you were trying to build in a time when, honestly, the technology wasn't really quite there to have it be as smooth as it might be today. What did you do to build that culture with the PYP coordinator to demonstrate the value of your role? What were the things that you think were really important then and maybe continue to be important today?
I think it's still always about the ease of use of the tools. So the tools cannot be a hurdle. As soon as the tools become a hurdle and it becomes way more time spent on the task than it is on the learning, then you lose the teachers immediately. And oftentimes teachers will come to me with an idea and I'll be the one that says, hey, let's weigh this out. Like your time on task, if you want to do a stop motion animation, for instance, let's really weigh this out. Is the learning we're going to get out of that? Not that I don't love stop motion animation, love it to pieces, but do we really have the time to dedicate to have a quality product come out of this? And is our learning, are we suffering in the learning side,
Absolutely.
So that has always been the struggle, right? Is where's finding that balance in what's too much time on a project and too much tech, and are there too many hurdles versus are we really getting to the learning? Because it's at the end of the day, it is always about the learning. This should be helping the learning, enhancing the learning. And then you get teachers on board. As soon as they see, oh my gosh, this was better than I ever imagined it could be, then they're on board from that point on.
And how do your teachers react when you're like, whoa, let's slow down here because, I think you might be going a little bit overboard? Are they appreciative of that fact? They're like, no, I still want to do it. Let's give it a try. How do you manage their expectations or sometimes rein in their expectations, sometimes pump up their expectations? It's a fine balancing act.
It is. I think more often than not, it's selling them on what I can do with them and convincing them that I'll be there the whole time. I will support it. They do not have to know how to do it. I've always I'm always pushing that with the teachers. You do not have to know how to do this. That's what I'm here for. You have to be there and be in the room when I'm doing it and learn with them and learn with the kids. And we can talk ahead of time and we can plan. It's also workflows. I find a big piece of my job is establishing a workflow for a project. And the best projects come when the teachers come ahead of time and we work through, well, this is where the files are going to be. This is the equipment we're going to need. This is how we're going to transfer this thing from A to B. And this is the software we need the kids to use. And if we've thought all of that through, then there's fewer problems in the classroom and there's fewer hurdles that the teacher experiences. Whereas if they come kind of late in the game and they've planned this project in their head and they've already started working on it, then we're just putting out fires. And I'm thinking, oh, I would never, ever have done this way, but I'm going to fix whatever's going on. And then the teacher has this bad feeling, right? They think, oh, this ended up taking so much time. This was so complicated and I'm not going to do it this way again. Whereas I think the value of a role like mine is to be able to sit down and say, here's all the things I know. Here's the software I would recommend you use. Here's the way in which we do it so that it's super smooth for everybody and it's going to work. It's going to be successful. We're going to feel great about it at the end.
That comment about the workflow, that was like as close to my heart as you can get as a type A person. Like the power of helping teachers understand the workflow for using a variety of tools, it is just priceless.
Yeah.
And how do you get teachers? Because I have that challenge too, right? Stepping in partway through a project and realizing, oh, this is not how I would have set this up. Like here we are. And you see already, you're like, oh no, I can see where this is going to go off the rails in these like 4 avenues. What strategies have you used with teachers to help them understand that the planning, the workflow before you start working with kids is so important? Like, how do you get them on board with that piece?
I think I have a serious advantage in we're a PYP school. And so we have required planning sessions every week. So being part of that planning means that I'm always there when the ideas start coming up. So it's rare down on this end where something's gone completely off the rails and I'm just running around putting out fires. That doesn't happen too often. And teachers know that I have an absolute walk in the door, ask me a question policy. It's totally fine. So I often have a teacher come in just holding an iPad saying, what did I do wrong? Help me with this. And that's completely fine. So I think, again, it's having those relationships where they're not scared to come in here and say, I think I screwed this up. Can you help me? What's a better way to do this? Or even in the middle of a class, I've had a teacher run in here and say, come in my room. Something's going completely wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. And I think what we found with the lack of real organized planning time in the middle school, that's where the real struggle is. And if we don't know what's coming, then you do end up having to put out fires. And so middle school is where my colleague Crowley and I have had the most struggles, I think. But the more we know, we anticipate projects that are coming, like, oh, remember last year they did this? Let's make sure we touch base with them before that happens again. Or after the fact, even just putting out the fires and trying your very best to be patient and not say, well, this is your own fault. As much as that might happen in my brain,
we've all wanted to say it.
I try not to say it out loud or to give off those vibes that make that person feel like they should never come talk to me again. No, but even sitting down with them during a reflection time afterwards and saying, okay, guys, you know what? Good things happen, some bad things happen. Here's how I would approach it next time. Can we just make a note that next time you do this unit, let's make sure we touch base so we can iron out some of these kinks and make it easier for everybody.
It's so fascinating to me how often that does happen, especially, and I really appreciate your point about middle school, because you're right, often in primary schools, even non-PYP schools, they're much more structured in how they handle the, planning of units, and they're often a little bit more on the same page as a year level team. Not to say that middle school and secondary school don't plan, but it's just really ingrained in the structure of primary school. Yeah. And that's such a good point about middle school, that sometimes teachers they get excited and they start something, which is awesome. But if you haven't done this, a couple times before, you don't always know all of those logistics. So I love that it's not just about doing it right from the start, but it's also, there's an opportunity when the project is completed to take a moment and look back and say, hey, what worked? What could we do better next time? let's, schedule in or note in your unit planning document somewhere that before you start this unit next year, check in and we can help you make it go smoother.
Yep. And trying to find those ways in with, whether it's a department meeting or whether it's a grade level team meeting or whatever, just really, really keeping your ear to the ground about what's happening out there and where could I step in and talk to it. And knowing who in the department is the person to go to say, hey, can we have a little chat about how this is working and how I could maybe help with this project that's coming up? So,
I think for a lot of teachers, they need to experience that frustration, right? Because that's how they learn as well, right? They learn from that experience. And as long as they're open to making those modifications in the future to make that experience hopefully a little bit more fluid for all involved. Sometimes teachers are like, oh, I tried it once and it didn't work, so I'm never doing that again. And I think that's where, again, having that rapport and having that trust with those teachers to be like, no, we can work on this, right? It may not be absolutely perfect next year, but we can make it more closer to perfect. And as long as we can have that mindset, that's the mindset that we want our students to have. It's how do we make sure that we transfer that same mindset to our teachers as well, and that they embrace that imperfection and that ambiguity, but also the trust that comes along with taking a risk and trying something new or trying something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the scaffolding. We talk a lot about student agency, and student agency doesn't mean throwing kids off a cliff and saying, well, hope you figure it out.
Right.
It's putting in that scaffolding piece and that's the art of teaching, right? Is when do you drop in the information that the kids need to move on,
And the teachers. I think that's what we're talking about with the teachers, right? Like,
absolutely.
How do you know the right time to bring, oh, did you want to try this? Or I can help you with this to the right person at the right time.
Yeah. I could say 3D printing to some grade level teams and they would run for the hills, and other teams would be like, yes, I love this. Let's try it. It's just knowing those teams. And then you've got examples, right? As soon as you get somebody on board, then you can share it, you can show it, you can talk about it and big it up. And then other people think, oh, that person did it. I bet I could do it too.
Exactly.
So
big it up.
Big it up. Yep.
Big it up.
That's right.
Did you enjoy today's episode? Then you will love the Coach Microcredential program. We know because our current participants are always sharing their feedback with us, and we ask them to share their experiences with you. Each week, we'll be sharing a new voice from inside the cohort of the coach so you can get a participant's perspective on what will make the program just right for you.
I'd really advise anyone interested in taking the coach to take the plunge and go for it. I really love the course because having Diana as a mentor is extremely helpful for me, being a coach on my own in my school. And so now I feel like I have a built-in support network through the course. One of the other concerns I have is juggling full-time work with the course, and the coach is such a flexible option. You can set your own schedule, you can reorder units, you can be behind, and they are nothing but supportive of you and really quick to reply to questions and emails, and it's just a really great opportunity to grow as a professional and develop as a coach.
This is just one of the voices from our current The Coach cohort. Here's what a few others have to say.
So I'd highly recommend it. I would definitely suggest you try and join to really help you develop your professional coaching skills.
So I highly recommend it.
So do it.
So I say go for it. Definitely take the coach. I couldn't recommend it more.
But overall, this course is fantastic because it's made me feel awesome. It's made me feel excited for my future.
If I were to give any piece of advice or message to future cohort members, it is to take the course. If you are on the fence, please take it.
As you can see, this micro-credential is for all educators, not just coaches, because you develop the coaching skills you can use in all aspects of your practice. You don't have to be a coach to have a coaching conversation with a student, a fellow colleague, a school leader, or even a parent. When you're ready to learn more about the coach, click on the link below or reach out to us at Eduro Learning on any of our social media platforms. Registration for our next cohort opens soon. Don't miss it. Expand your professional learning network, dive deep into 26 weeks of curated coaching content, and get your own private mentor for an entire academic year. We can't wait to work with you. Are you ready to take your coaching skills to the next level? Join the next cohort of The Coach and make it happen.